you know what the funny thing is? And I just thought about this. They have been saying that, if you are in the majority of the society, you're wrong for even existing and thinking and doing and being in the world. But they are doing the exact same thing. So they're now creating their own definitions, their own ways to be and exist in the world, but they're not based in reality, like you just said.
Mhm.
And can you imagine if we have a generation of children who have no foundation of
Mhm.
what is real? I mean, that
Right.
is
No.
untenable. That is psychotic.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing. It's like what is our breaking point, right? We're okay, um, okay, guys or girls are believing they're the opposite gender, and then we have this whole new thing now called furries, right? Well, now they're
Yeah.
animals, and
Mhm.
now I've heard there's even a thing now where children are being plants, and you're like, where do we draw the line? And I think this is where it gets scary, right? Because then you think, well, could an older man, maybe who's a pedophile, identify as a younger man and say, but I identify as a young man, therefore what I'm doing is not against the law. And I think this is where we like, okay, where are we going to stop? Where are we going to
Mhm.
say enough is enough? And we
Right.
need to base this upon fact and nature. And it's funny, they proclaim, all these people proclaim to be the party of science,
Right.
and you believe science, but
Yeah.
then you're like, wait a second, like one of the fundamental truths is you're born with a certain set of assets, right?
Right.
And that's what you're born with, right? And
Mm.
so it's like, can you really fundamentally change your chromosome too? Like, can
Right.
you really change your chromosome? You can change everything on the outside, right, to make it look like you're a certain way.
Mhm.
But in essence, are you a different gender than you really are?
Right. It's so great. So I was having this conversation. I was on a Fox Soul, and we were talking about transgender in sports, and I kept going back to the fact that biological men are stronger than
Mhm.
biological women.
Yep.
You can do the whole hormone suppression thing. The fact still remains that you are a biological man or woman. And I am surprised that more women aren't speaking up about this,
Mhm.
because as a woman, being a woman is much more than having breasts and certain
Mhm.
body parts and, like long hair or, eyelashes or whatever. For people to just put on the outside stuff and not know what it really is to be a woman, because
Mhm.
all you can take it on or put it off, but that it doesn't make you a woman. And
Mhm.
it's so perplexing to me after everything that, all of this Me Too stuff and the patriarchy and all of this stuff, and then now you have biological men that are literally taking the title and saying, "Oh yes, I'm a woman now. You must tell me so. You must call me ma'am." I
Right.
am really surprised that more women aren't speaking up about this. Do you think it's like a fear? Do you think it's like, what do you think about that?
I think so. I think in the culture we live in today, everyone wants to be. It's in the name of being nice and accepting and
Mm,
not wanting people to feel like they're outcasts in society. No one wants to. No one would want their kid. I mean, that person is
yeah,
someone's kid, right? But at the
true.
same time, we are undoing decades of work to get women's rights. I mean, I'm surprised more of the feminists aren't speaking out against this. I
Right.
mean, there are a few. I think it's Naomi Wolf who's kind of been speaking out against this lately. But I mean, really, we're like when women's sports, especially, they're taking the titles away from these women that have worked so hard to get these high-ranking titles. Like in this recent swimming thing that happened,
Yeah.
right? Where for years they've been fighting to get these, really fast times, and in one afternoon, a male who identifies as a female took it all away. And I think we have to either I mean, and I think there's ways to help these people exist in society and still have their own rights as well. But we shouldn't be. It's just like with Marxism, right? You're taking away to make things even, right? They want to make equal outcomes. You're always going to take away from someone else, unfortunately, and that's not fair, right? We live in the land of equal opportunity, but not equal outcomes.
Yeah, and it's exactly why we have our Constitution, because it's built on the idea that you are allowed to exist in however you want to, as long as it doesn't uh
infringe on your rights, right?
Thank you, infringe on my rights. And they that's probably why they don't like America, and they don't like that, because that is that fundamentally rejects their whole premise. Their whole idea is that no, you have to, this will be forced upon you. So there is no longer your how you want to live, and how you have your property, and you and yourself, and you as an individual, and me as an individual. That can't exist under Marxism. It can't exist under this woke theology. It can't exist under these any of these critical theories. And so I think that that's a really interesting point, that it bites right at their foundation, that because America is totally antithetical to their entire movement. It is why America exists. We've seen what Marxism has done, long before America came. We know what these ideas can do. And so, it's really fascinating that people, I was telling you before, there on Twitter, there was a woman kind of making fun of, Moms for Liberty, and parents who like us, like, oh, you guys are so crazy. Like, oh my gosh, America's never going to be communist. It's like, girl, if you don't wake up, like, we are speeding to communism in 91 north.
Light speed. Yeah. Light speed.
High speed.
And that's the thing. I think, and people try to paint us as hating other groups or whatever. I think, like you're saying, I think it's all about keeping our rights, and kind of swinging it back to SEL and kind of what I'm doing with that. I mean, the way to get parents to agree on this, right? I think we all believe that we have rights to raise our children how we see fit, right? So regardless of what side you are on, right, of any issue, right? You wouldn't want if you were on the left, or if you were an atheist, you wouldn't want children coming to school and learning about God, because you'd be like, that's my job to teach them about God, or teach them that there isn't a God, or whatever. If you believed in I don't know, whatever, right? Like, you want to have the responsibility to teach your kids values, and beliefs. And I think the way to get people to unite around some of these issues is to say, you know what, like, you're a parent and you have the right to raise your kid as you see fit, and it shouldn't be someone else making the definitions and telling your kid that they should believe X, Y, and Z, because that's not their responsibility at school.
Right. Yeah, 100%. In one of your slides, you had, I think his name is YURI. Is it YURI? Yeah. Do you remember the quote offhand, or that slide?
Well, basically, it's so he warned America. This is like back in the 80s, Quisha. This is like really, really long time ago. He did an interview. He was a KGB defector. So he came over here and basically was telling us, here is how the Russians are trying to take over your country, right? Which is kind of scary if you think about it. But basically he said, and this was, again, early 1980s, and we're now living in 2021, almost 2022, is that basically the communists weren't going to be taking over America through like physical warfare, but through ideological warfare, which would be called ideological subversion.
Right.
So basically what they would do is they would send people over here and get them involved in the education system. And then they would teach generations of children in the communist, Marxist, Leninist ideology. And if you do that for enough generations, you can take over a country.